Hi everyone, Jasmine here from Polish and Glitter. So today I have a very different crafty share for you guys. So before I get into it, I just really quickly want to show you guys what I used. I did use the Craft Smart chalk markers from Michaels, which are amazing. And then also a lead pencil because it's really nice and thin and it always has a nice sharp point. And then I also used some Huggies wipes for cleanup. And then I used this really adorable board that I purchased last year at Target. So you'll see that I really struggled with removing last year's lettering. So I used this board for the first and last day of school for my son. And so far I really love it. It's really cute. So I like to just compare the pictures from first day and last day, and from, now this year, this is the second year of school. So you'll see me here using, it looks like a regular napkin or like a wipey that I have in my hand, but it's actually just a piece of magic eraser. I did have to Google how to remove dried up chalk marker from a chalkboard because I really struggled to remove last year's lettering. So I ended up finding out one of the first suggestions was to use a magic eraser, and to be completely honest, I was really scared to use it just because it is a chalkboard from the Target Dollar Spot, and I didn't know how high of a quality the chalk paint was, and I didn't want to like rub it away. So I was just really gentle. I dampened up the just a clipping of the magic eraser. It's just a little piece. I dampened it up, and then I very gently buffed out all the lettering, and then just made sure to completely dry it. So you can still see a little bit of a shadow from last year's lettering, but in all honesty, it's not all that visible, and it doesn't bother me. In my son's pictures and in the final pictures that I did take of the board, it's really not noticeable at all. So like I said, it doesn't bother me at all. And I mean, it is what it is. The chalkboard is totally reusable, and I can't wait. Although it does make me a little bit sad to have to use it over and over, because that just means my son is growing up. But yeah, it's just so much fun to compare pictures, especially from the last day of school to the first day going back to school. I mean, there's only really about 2.5 months in between that, and there's such a huge difference in his pictures, and it's a lot of fun watching kids grow up. So here you'll see me lettering my son's name. His name is Robert Elijah, and this will actually be his second year of preschool. So he did start school when he was 3, and now he's 4, so he'll be going into his second year of preschool. And what I end up doing is writing his name first in pencil, and as you saw, I did erase quite a few times just to get the spacing and the width of each letter in between correct. He does have a little bit of a long name, so I did kind of have to play with it a little bit. This video is in double time, so it is half an hour long. So if you really think about it, it did take me just a little over an hour to do this project. So if you ever do lettering, don't rush yourself. Definitely take your time. I was definitely just having fun with it, taking my sweet time, watching Avengers with my husband and my son. And yeah, I had a good old time, doing this project, which is why I wanted to share with you guys, even though I am uploading it really late, almost a month after I filmed this. I just had so much fun lettering and playing with it. I just wanted to share because it is a lot of fun, like I said, and honestly, you can do it too. I'm not all that great at lettering, but this project was really fun for me, and it ended up turning out way better than what I expected it to. Like I said, you just take your sweet time and kind of play around. Use pencil, which you can easily wipe away or erase, and it's so much fun. So Right now I'm writing the word preschool, but going back to my son's name, I did sort of like a half, what is it called, cursive font, which this is all in my head. I'm not really copying any letters. The only letters I sort of copy are the word Spider-Man, which you'll see that's what my son said he wanted to be. That's the only letter that I really got some inspiration online from, but everything else I kind of just, you know, doodle off the top of my head. So for his name, as I said, I sort of did like a half cursive, and then the way to make it look like a brush lettering, on the down strokes, whenever you put your pencil and write downwards, you want to make that part thicker. So whenever you write downwards, that's where you kind of thicken it up. So that way it looks like you used a brush to letter your words, and it ends up looking really pretty. So that's what I did for his name, and I used the color yellow. And then for the word preschool, I end up using the color blue. And you'll see here that as I'm initially outlining it, it's not as vibrant. So with these markers, they're pretty inexpensive. They were about $12.99 for a set of 4 or 5, depending on the set that you're purchasing, which is really not all that bad in and of itself. But since they're from Michaels, you definitely always want to use a coupon. They almost always have like a 20 or 40% off coupon, or it's like buy one get one half off or something along those lines. So definitely check out Michaels. Once you kind of shake up the marker and kind of pump it up and down on a piece of paper or wherever you're not writing, and you can just, you know, wipe it away, the ink starts flowing through. Once that ink starts flowing through, it's so pretty and vibrant and opaque and pigmented. I just freaking love these markers. Initially when I used them, I think I didn't really know what I was doing with them last year, so I struggled with them a little bit last year, but once I figured out that you need to pump out that ink, I fell in love with these markers. They're a really good quality for being an off-brand, for just being, you know, craft smart. They're Michaels brand. They're just really great. I really love them. So currently I just have the white thick marker and then the 2 sets of the neon colors that I showed at the beginning of the video. I do eventually want to invest in the metallic set. There is a metallic set that I think has light gold, rose gold, and like a copper and silver, I want to say, something along those lines. It's the same price as the other sets, but it looks really, really pretty, and I definitely want to check those out just to see what they look like. And then there is another set that has primary colors, which has, I want to say it has black, white, green, blue, like a royal blue, and like an emerald green. So just different tones, you know. And even though I think that one has a red too, and I already have a red, I think it's a little thinner, so I'd still get some use out of it, you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely want to get some more chalk markers for next year, and as my son gets older, I'm sure he will not appreciate all these rainbow colors like he does now. I don't know how I'm gonna do it to get him to take pictures once he's like in 5th, 6th, middle school and high school, but I'm gonna figure it out. If I have to bribe him, I'll bribe him. I don't care. I want my pictures. So moving on, I ended up doing these little like red dots on the word preschool because I kind of wanted it to have that vibe of like Dr. Seuss with like the red and the blue, but it didn't really end up working out for me. It kind of just looked like the word had zits, so I ended up having to go back through and I just added in some random bigger orange dots to kind of offset with the blue. So it ended up working out really well. It just made it look a little bit more whimsical and, in my opinion, kind of cute. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And as you can see, even though this is kind of taking me quite a while, again, this video is in double time. So if you ever are interested in lettering or wonder how people do it, people take their sweet time. It just comes out better. If you're rushed, I feel like you get kind of nervous and then you end up screwing up a whole lot more, which you'll see me like later on down the road. I do a lot of erasing, I start over, and yeah, so definitely always take your time, have your eraser. It's okay to screw up, it's okay to start over. You'll definitely see when I write the word Spider-Man, it just ends up being a hot ass mess. So almost in every single area I have to erase, I have to rethink things through, and if something doesn't look how you want it to look, it's totally okay to start over or to just scrap it and, you know, try again. Sometimes you just need to take a little bit of a break also and, you know, come back to it, because sometimes you just get a little bit frustrated or stressed out and then it doesn't come out quite right. So totally okay to take a break. So here I am writing his age. Like I said, he is currently 4 years old, going on his second year of preschool. So his favorite color is green, and I had asked him what color he wanted me to write his age in. So he said green, because he always says green. Green is his favorite color. So here I am just lettering the number 4, and I like to color it in because, as I said, this particular marker that I'm using right now is a little bit on the thinner side, but it's still just as vibrant. You just gotta, you know, kind of pump it out a little bit. I didn't quite like how where I thickened up the section looked against the line that goes across in the letter 4. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I very slightly rounded off that area right there because I just, in my head, I thought it looked better. Whatever, I'm crazy. So last year I ended up doing these little stars on my son's age, and I really liked how that looked. So I decided to do it again. I just, you know, used different colors. So once again, I like to use the pencil because it gives it a nice outline. I greatly apologize for the shakiness of this video. As I said, I wasn't filming in my normal spot. So for this particular kind of like purpley pinky color, we'll just say it's purple, if you can see when I put it down, it doesn't look very pigmented at all, but for this particular color, it definitely needs to dry. Once it dries and it's completely colored in and everything, you will see it brightens up so much, and it's such a pretty color. Of course, I have a boy and he likes all the colors and he doesn't really discriminate with toys or anything like that, but I don't think he ever really gravitates towards purple. I've seen him gravitate a little bit more towards pink or orange, but not really purple. So I wanted to keep the purple to a minimum. I just used purple for his age because I felt like that purple complemented the green a little bit. So I end up, instead of completely filling in the stars, I just kind of did like a cross hatching thing. I'm not sure what it's called, but then I didn't end up liking how the edges looked. So then I ended up going over the star again and re-outlining it. And as you can see here, again, I make mistakes. Totally normal to make mistakes. Totally okay to make mistakes. You can always figure out a way to fix it. So yeah, here I am doing the stars, and then I just go over it, and now that you can see that that purple is drying up, you can see that it's so freaking pretty and it's really, really vibrant, just like the outside of that marker. So yeah, in the beginning it's a little bit hard to tell what you're doing with that purple, but once it dries up, as I said, beautiful color. I really, really love these markers. So I end up doing the same thing with the smaller star, but I felt ultimately that it was a little bit too plain. because I'm hella extra and I just felt like I needed to add something. And the green and purple by itself reminded me of Barney. So I definitely wanted to add a little something in there. So I ended up going in with some yellow, which was a good thing and a bad thing. And you'll see why, because I end up screwing up that 4 and I end up having to erase a whole bunch of stuff. So I just added these little yellow snowflakes to contrast with the purple and the green, and then I kind of wanted to outline that 4 with the yellow to make it stand out, and I end up finishing, but I really hated how that looked. I think it just made it look really sloppy, so I ended up going through and erasing. So again, it's okay to make mistakes. The parts that I erased that I didn't mean to erase, I just go back over it with the green marker and patch them up. And that's another thing that I really like about these markers. I don't know if you guys are into makeup or have worn liquid lipsticks. With certain liquid lipsticks, if you go back over and try to touch up your lips, even with certain regular lipsticks, you end up ruining your lips. They look patchy and they look crusty and just kind of gross. So I really like, even though this is not makeup, I really like these markers because when you go over certain spots, it blends in perfectly. It doesn't peel up any other of the chalk marker. It just blends in and works fine. So yeah, I really love these markers, if I haven't said that enough. So going back, now I'm writing the date of his first day of school. I did film this on the day before he started school, and yeah, that was like a month ago, so I'm pretty behind on my videos. I did film this and edit this within like a week's time, but I just didn't have the time to edit, to be completely honest, or not to edit, but to do the voiceover, because I had edited it. That sounded weird, but anyways, I did edit the video, but I just didn't have time to upload the voiceover and upload the video to YouTube. So for that, I really apologize. I've just been incredibly busy at work and with life and family in general, so when I do have a little bit of downtime, to be completely honest, even though I've been hoarding and purchasing all these crafty items, I haven't even been in the mood to use them because of how tired I am. So I'm trying to get back into the mood. I'm trying to work on some projects, but the projects that I'm working on things that I kind of have a time limit for, so I don't end up really crafting for myself, which is a little bit of a bummer. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm trying. Hopefully I can get back into the groove of things and become a little bit more active, especially on my Instagram, where I post my nails and my makeup stuff. So because I haven't really been active on there either. But yeah, hopefully I can be a little bit more active. It's just been really crazy at work and life in general. So anyways, for these particular letters, it says, when I grow up, I want to be, and since my son is 4 and he doesn't really understand the concept of a career, he said Spider-Man. So I just rolled with it and wrote Spider-Man. So for this particular word, I did end up Googling Spider-Man logo or Spider-Man word. I forget what I Googled. And I just kind of took inspiration from a little picture that I found, which now trying to go back and find it to kind of show you guys, I couldn't find it. But anyway, the letters are just kind of stretched out and a little squiggly, if that makes sense. But I didn't want to copy the logo exactly because there was a lot of outlining and just, I just did a really simplified version of it. Okay, so I tried my best. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. You'll see that I kind of struggled. My vision was to have like a spider web sort of in the background, but I felt like if I did the spider web first and then wrote Spider-Man on top of it, it was gonna take away from the web and it wasn't gonna look quite as nicely. And then there you can see my derpy ass self that I put my hand on top of the wet chalk and then I smeared it. So I had to redo the letter N, and I that made me a little bit sad because in all honesty, I kind of think the first N was a lot better looking, but anyway, whatever. So here I am like an idiot trying to outline the word Spider-Man, even though I completely failed outlining the number 4 with the same yellow, but here I am doing it again. But actually, this one ends up turning out a little bit better, which I'm really, really happy about. I ended up loving how the word Spider-Man came out. It was so cute. I ended up using more colors. I typically try to just use about 3 colors per word. I don't know why, but I do. So here I am. I'm not really good at making like a straight line. So I use the white for the spider web, of course, and then I used the case where I keep the chalk markers where they came in to kind of, outline the lines. But then you'll see that I royally screw up by kind of trying to overdo it. So what I ended up doing was kind of making a little bit of like a star or like a snowflake, but then I end up adding too many lines in between and it killed it. But I didn't realize it until it was like really late and I was doing the little squiggles that kind of loop in between, and I hated the way that looked. I liked the way the letters looked, but I hated the way my spider web was coming out. So what do? I end up going through and erasing pretty much the whole dang thing. But I was pretty lucky where I didn't erase a whole lot of the lettering, if any of it at all, because I liked the way it came out. So I end up just erasing the outside, completely shaking the whole dang phone, and yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. Now I know not to record on that table. Okay, so yeah, you'll see me here just erasing the majority of the background, which was a little bit of a time waster and a bummer, but oh well. So what I end up doing is, I kept that one. I screwed up. Oh well. So anyway, I'm just trying to erase the background and fix it, and then what I end up doing is kind of also outlining the spider web in red also, and you'll see it. I actually like the way it turned out. Maybe you might not like it, but I like the way it turned out, and my son liked it too, so oh well. Yeah, I end up erasing that last squiggly line there, and then I just replaced some of the lines and made some of the lines a little bit thicker. So, see? Can't be trusted. I'm pretty messy. So there I am, making the lines a little bit thicker, and then I just figured that if it's too straight, it's gonna look a little bit funny. So I just ended up winging it so it looks, a little bit messy and a little bit more like a spider web in my opinion. So I did another line apparently, and then you'll see here that I don't make the spider web as tight, and it ends up working out quite well. I liked how it ended up looking. And then there I wanted to figure out that spot, and so yeah, here I am just fixing up the rest of the spider web. And as I said before, I do eventually end up outlining the spider web with a little bit of red, just because of Spider-Man's costume, outfit, whatever you want to call it. And I could have easily just left it with, you know, the blue, the yellow, and the white. It looks perfectly fine in my opinion, but I kind of wanted to add a little bit of the red, and you'll see how I do that in a little bit. So yeah, and also another thing, for some reason for me, it helps me to turn over the page, or in this case the board, to, you know, draw, paint, whatever. I don't always just paint like straight on. I almost always end up kind of rotating and twisting and turning my surface, because it works out for me. So yeah, that's the end of the word Spider-Man. Okay, and so last up, I just had to write in my son's teacher's name. Her name is Mrs. Ramirez. So last year what I did was just write down her name in white, and then I drew like a little apple, but this year I wanted to make it a little bit different. So my idea was, since the chalkboard is black, I felt the yellow would contrast the black really well, and then I ended up drawing a little ruler. I didn't, you know, make it exact or anything like that, because I just wanted it to look like a little doodle. So I just made a big rectangle, a big skinny rectangle, and again I used the outside of the packaging of the markers to kind of help me out, because I forgot to pull out my ruler. But yeah, I just, you know, used what I had. So once again I end up using, I didn't use a pencil this time. I think I just freehanded it. So her name is Mrs. Ramirez, and I wanted to do a very similar, like faux calligraphy, or like a sort of half cursive kind of thing, my version of cursive, I guess, with the orange. I don't know why I chose orange this time, but this particular time I chose orange. I had pulled out the white because I think I was going to use the white again, but I ended up just going with the color orange, and I think it turned out pretty well. And yeah, I think this is the part where I screwed up. Yeah, this is the part where I end up screwing up. So anyway, for her last name, Ramirez, I did end up using the pencil just because I wanted it to be spaced out correctly and not be too wonky, where the last like couple of letters are super tiny because the rest of them don't fit. Right there in particular, you'll see the part that I was speaking about where I totally screwed up. I ended up pumping the pencil or the marker downwards, and a huge blob of ink from the chalk marker came out and ruined that particular part. I didn't want to erase the whole word just because I had liked how it had turned out. So I ended up just going in with the chalk marker and freehanding it, and I was lucky enough that it turned out okay. So all I had to redo was the letter R and then half of that A right there. So it ended up turning out okay. I'm not mad at it. I was just kind of mad that I had to clean up and be really careful. So yeah, anyways, as you can see, I'm going through this word, and I think I didn't go through the Mrs. Enough, because looking back, the Ramirez part looks a little bit more vibrant than the Mrs. But I think it's just because, again, I didn't probably pump the marker enough to make sure that there was enough of that chalk ink flowing through it. So yeah, that is the end of my lettering, I guess you can say. And here I am just showing you kind of a little bit of an overview, and then I'll go into the pictures. So hopefully you guys liked this little tutorial and crafty share that I did. I'm really happy with how it turned out. In the pictures you'll see a little bit of the pencil outline, but it doesn't bother me at all. And yeah, I'm just really happy with how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.